Amtrak debuts its new higher-speed rail service from Chicago to St. Louis. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin joined other state and federal leaders to celebrate the debut of the new Amtrak line with speeds that reach 110 miles an hour. Previously, the trains maxed out at just 90. The nearly $2 billion project included track improvements and upgrades to a number of stations.
We've cut down on the travel times and boosted safety, reliability, and convenience along the way. Illinois is the only state where all 7 of the nation's largest railroads operate. That's a unique economic advantage recognized by employers across the globe.